It does not address the open borders, the fentanyl crisis, does not address even such things as how much it's costing to get to work every day because of the increases in fuel.
And Governor Mike Huckabee joins us now. Let me say this, Governor, I doubt, I could be wrong, oftentimes wrong, but I don't think that speech is going to go down with the Gettysburg Address as one of the greatest of all time or American history.
I think you're being very charitable, Doug. Truth is, that speech will only go down, 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 down. And it's in a ceramic bowl in which it will go down. It honestly was a very surprising, disappointing, and kind of I don't want to use a word that's a little over the top, but really a shocking speech for a president of the United States to make just before an election with his party in such trouble over issues that he never even so much as mentioned in the course of his speech. So I'm not sure who wrote it. I'm not sure what the intent was, or who living in that bubble is so completely out of touch with the American people that they honestly thought that that's what the American people wanted to hear from their president.
You know, one of the things I did not focus on in that intro piece that we did was his emphasis, continued emphasis on expecting delays in the vote tally, and that we need to be patient, things of that sort. I kept wondering what that was all about.
Well, it's really hard to know unless he's signaling that they are intending to slow down the vote process so that Republicans won't be able to celebrate quite as early. I think it's going to be a bloodbath come Tuesday for the Democrats. They've done nothing to give Americans reason to vote for them. They've given them a lot of reasons to not vote for them. They failed to address the issues like crime, the economy, specifically how inflation is just chomping right through the paychecks of Americans who are trying to work and pay their bills. It does not address the open borders, the fentanyl crisis, does not address even such things as how much it's costing to get to work every day because of the increases in fuel. So at a time when people are really seriously concerned about their lives, their families, this is a president and a party that has chosen to ignore that and pretend that none of those things are happening and that the only thing Americans care about is being able to have the right to have their children mutilated or chemically castrated for transgender procedures, or to have unlimited abortion up until the moment of birth, neither of which I truly believe rest high with the average American family right now.
Right. It seems to me that he is consciously trying to divide the American public. I mean, by appealing to only his base. And the speech itself was a desperate attempt to appeal to the base. They're reading the polls. As I pointed out in that piece, the most recent poll coming out was the Wall Street Journal, which suggested that suburban women are gravitating towards the Republican Party. And then immediately after that poll was released, we had this hastily called speech. It was only forecast when Anita Dunn and another presidential advisor appeared on this Axios forum to say that there was going to be a presidential speech at Union Station. So what's your take on it in terms of the divisions which he's creating here? He's making no effort to reach out to the other side, as best I can tell.
Doug, I thought your opening was very, very spot on. And one of the things that you pointed out was that in his attempt to speak about how horrible violence regarding political figures is, I'd agree with that. Look, I don't care who does it. Violence is inappropriate, whether it's done by the right to the left or by the left to the right or by some crazy person to either side. Doesn't matter who does it to whom. It's a terrible, despicable thing for people to take out their feelings, emotions that may be political and take them out in a physical way against someone. Sometimes some of these things are done because a person is mentally ill. But I just thought that he only talked about attacks that have been leveled against certain Democrats. He failed to mention the attack on Brett Kavanaugh's home and the attempted assassination. He didn't mention Rand Paul, who was almost murdered by his neighbor. He didn't mention the near murder of Steve Scalise and a number of Republican office holders at a ballpark from a Bernie Sanders supporter. But, you know, I don't know of any Republican that blames Bernie Sanders for that guy taking the gun out. You just don't do that. It's it's not fair to Bernie and it's not accurate. But Joe never brought that up. He only made it appear that somehow Donald Trump was responsible for this, and he tried to tie it to January 6th by saying that there was violence on January 6th and there was violence at Paul Pelosi's house. Therefore, the two are connected, and mainly because the guy supposedly said, "Where's Nancy?" and somebody had said that at January 6th. Let me break some news for you, Doug. Everyone who was at January 6th, they were wearing underwear, and they also drank water. And at the same time, all of the people who were guilty of doing bad things on the left, they too were wearing underwear and drinking water. So what we have is a clear connection between wearing underwear and drinking water, and anyone who drinks water and wears underwear is a potential violent threat to society and is a threat to democracy.
Right. Well, you know, the other thing which is interesting to me, the irony of the president's speech is in this divisive approach that he takes. He is making an appeal to people who are on the borderline margins of bad mental health. The people who are most vulnerable to this divisiveness are people who cannot think rationally. They're the ones who are most likely to act out in some destructive way. And it seems to me that there are so many of those kinds of people proliferating now out on the streets that you want to appeal to calm. You want to appeal to reason. You don't want to stimulate them.
I couldn't agree more. And it doesn't help when you somehow make it as if one side is a violent group of thugs and the other side basically read nursery rhymes to 6-year-olds. Right. It's just not true. And we do need to recognize mental illness is very real. People who are mentally ill don't have a grasp of reality. They don't even have a clue as to what they're doing and how hurtful and dangerous it can be because they're disconnected from reality. So we need to be talking about how to get more resources for mentally ill people. That's not a political issue. That ought to transcend everybody's horizontal lines of left and right, and it ought to be something that we could agree on. That would have been a great speech last night.
Yeah.
He totally blew the opportunity to
sure
give it.
did. I totally agree. Hi, I'm Doug McKelway, and thank you for watching Centerpoint. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Leave a comment below and keep the conversation going by sharing this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.